Hi everyone, Engineer Liu here. So we're back to another tutorial on the C programming language. On this tutorial we'll see some variable types utilized in C. So let's get started as usual. Let's create another file, call it example3.c, and let's start coding. So we begin with your you can say that it's a minimum boilerplate code for C, our standard IO library, our main function here, and returning 0 as always. Okay, so let's create some variables. Okay, so if you're not familiar with variables, if it's your first time programming, variables are a place in the computer memory that is used to store some value, some character, some string, which is a bunch of text simply, a Boolean type, an integer, a floating point number. So this is what basically is a variable. So in C, different from Python and JavaScript, with our dynamic type language, and you can freely switch from one type to another. C is a statically typed language. However, you can change type of a variable from one to another, as we'll see next. So let's start with the integer type. We already talked about integers, so let's create some integers here. In C, you can declare a variable and then assign some value to it after you declare. So I declare a variable here, int a. It's a variable of type integer. I finish my statement here with a semicolon. Remember, here on the scope of the main function with the curly brackets. So let's assign a the value 1. Okay, so this is not a is equal to 1, it's the value of 1 is assigned to a. Okay, this is very important to keep in mind. Of course, you can initialize a value in the same line, like float b, float pi equal to 3.1415. Okay, and we can assign many variables at once. Let's call this num from number. For example, I can create a short int a, b, and c. A equals to 1, b equals to 2, and c equals, let's create a, b, and c. And then we assign a equals to 1. Here, let's, I don't know, 10. And then b equals to 2, c equals to 3. Before you ask me, short is half the size in memory as an integer. An integer by default is usually 4 bytes. Of course, that depends on your system. And here, short int would be 2 bytes in memory. We can declare a long int. I don't know. Long int equal to 100, and the long int equal to 1000. Okay, so here we have 8 bytes, and here 16 bytes in memory. Okay, double the size of a normal integer. Besides float, we have double, which will be a long float. Let's see, double 3 halves equals to 3 divided by 2. Of course, we can assign and do mathematical operations when assigning a variable. Here, let's say 10 times 10, and here 3 divided by 2. Of course, here there's a problem, and we'll see in a minute. we have other operators. So let's say plus operator minus operator here, and the reminder operator. So let's say the reminder of the division of 3 by 1. Okay, so let's see here. Of course we have char types. Char y equals to yes, okay, and char is a string of only one character, so you must define it using single quotes like this. And if you want to define a string, declare a string, there are several ways to do it. You can use pointers, or you can declare as an array. I will talk about pointers and arrays in future videos. It's a more advanced topic for beginners. But for now, let's just ignore this for now. So a string would be an array of chars, so you can declare as this: string 1 equals we'll just type my name here, Leonardo, and you can also declare as string 2 like this, equals to, I don't know, C programming. Okay, so these are two ways you can declare a string in C. In C we don't have Boolean types. Boolean will be a true or false value. However, you can include a library called stdbool.h, so you can use Boolean types. So let's create a Boolean like a bool is true equal to true. Remember, in C this isn't actually a Boolean type, is actually an integer. So true in C is 1 and false is 0. Okay, so when you return 0 in the main function, actually it's returning false for errors. So if it is 0, it equals false, so no errors. Okay, keep that in mind. So I think we cover mostly of our variable types. Here, of course, we have an error, which I will talk about in a minute. And also in C we have a type of void, which is a pointer, a null pointer, and a void pointer. We can have all sorts of pointer types, but as I said before, I won't talk about pointers. It's a more advanced topic for beginners, so it will be a topic for another video. Okay, so we'll skip void types for now, and now we should print these variables, right? So let's start by printing num. I'll just print a variable name and then its value. So in C, if you want to print what is in store of inside of integer value, use %sign and then D, and I'll print here a new line character, and finish here my string. So close or double quotes and comma, and then the value, the variable I want to print. Of course, I can print multiple values in the same printf statement, like for example, let's keep a and b. Okay, let's print like this: a equals to %d, b equals to %d, and c equals to %d, and new line. Okay, so this is our string here. And as I said before, print function can handle multiple arguments. So we'll pass 2 arguments here. As you can see here, we pass 2 arguments, and we'll pass more than 2 arguments to this function. So here we pass A, B, and C. Okay. sorry. Okay, so we now can print pi equals to, for float it's percentage f, so we print pi here. And okay, so now for long int it's a little bit different, so we have long int here, and we use percentage sign LD for long int, D in this case for integer, and then we specify the variable which is long int. So printf, now we have a long int, so long int is the name of the variable, and we specify with LLD, and here long int. And now we have double type, which is a long float. We can have a long double in C as well, but I will not use it here, so let's print 3 halves as LF. It stands for double long float, and as I said, 3 halves. We have our char yes, so yes percentage C for char, and we print yes, and we can print our string 1, printf or string 2, and we can print our Boolean type is true. As I said before, it's actually an integer type, so it will print 1. And here I forgot the new line. Here, new line. And for string, let's say string 1, percentage s for string, and string 1, new line, here, new line, and percentage s, new line, string 2. Here are is true, and I think we're good to go and compile our program. So write and quit, and we can compile. Let's check it out. Okay, so looking good. So we have this new include here for using Boolean types. So we can compile GCC example 3.c -o example 3.o. So no warnings whatsoever. So let's execute it. Okay, so as you may notice, we have some problems here. So let's start at the beginning. So okay, so num is actually an integer which we will assign to 10, and it's equal to 10. So okay, a equals 2, which is 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay, it's alright. B equals 0, so 2 minus 2 is 0. And C equals 0 as expected, as the remainder of 3 divided by 1 is 0. Actually, sorry, it's 3, so the remainder is 0, correct? And here we have pi with some extra zeros which we don't need. We can get rid of them later. So long int equals to 100, and long int equals to 100 as well. 3 halves is obviously wrong. We expected 1.5 here, which we'll see why in a minute. yes equals to y, string 1 equals to Leonardo, string 2 equals to C programming, and is true equal to 1. As I said, in C we don't actually have Boolean types. So let's start by correcting this one here. Okay, we only want 4 zeros, 4 trailing zeros. Okay, so here we have pi equals to percentage sign f, and if we want 4 trailing zeros, we type dot for f. Okay, so this will format to 4 trailing zeros. And another problem we have was with this calculation over here. Okay, so what the compiler is actually understanding here is that we are doing an integer calculation. Okay, so 3 divided by 2 as an integer, we obtain 1, correct? So we don't want that. Of course, we want a float calculation, so we need to type 3 dots and 2 dots. This way the compiler will understand that this is actually a float number, and then it will treat it division like a float number and print 1.5 as intended. Okay, so here we have 3 halves. We only want 1 trailing zero, so we can type here .1 lf. Okay, so we write and quit, compile, and run. And now we got what we actually was looking for. We have 3.1415, and here 1.5. Okay, so that's it for today. Hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Leave your suggestions. See you next time. Bye.